The fifth area is community engagement. And this is all about making sure that groups and communities that are traditionally left out of these types of processes are included. And so we're working along with a number of community-based organizations that are based in Oakland and that have members within disadvantaged and vulnerable communities to make sure that we're getting their input and that they're going to get a chance to actually have a say in what goes down with this energy and climate action planning process. And the last area that we're looking at as a coalition is the climate change adaptation planning. Now, heretofore, we've been talking about climate change mitigation. What can we do to reduce greenhouse gas emissions with the intention of hopefully stabilizing our climate? But there are things that are already happening because of global warming right now. And there are things that are likely to happen even if we do a wonderful job here in Oakland and other cities all across the state and the nation follow suit. Now, the climate change adaptation planning is looking at who's going to be vulnerable and what people, what communities, what businesses are going to be vulnerable to the types of changes that may occur due to climate change, or that will likely occur due to climate change. There's going to be sea level rise, there's going to be more droughts, there's going to be extreme weather events. So there's a lot of things that are probably going to happen regardless. And the idea with this area is to make sure that we have an understanding of where the vulnerabilities are and have plans in place for addressing them. And there's things that we can start doing now and some of those are similar to the types of actions that will probably be suggested for mitigation. But there are definitely things that we can do now that can make our city more resilient, our communities more resilient, and that's really the focus here with the adaptation planning.
Dave, on the adaptation planning, I have a background in disaster recovery planning, which is highly related to this, so if you're looking for volunteers to help on that.
Yes! Yes, we are looking for volunteers, absolutely. Okay, so we'll talk.
All right.
There's actually committees. You can never have enough committees, right?
Right.
So they correspond to each of these policy areas, as Dave has just outlined, and there are actually a few more. There's one that's relating to communications and media, so that we're making sure that we're engaging the news outlets and about what's going up in Oakland and how this is a really pioneering effort. There's another one around the port because unfortunately the port has not yet been formally integrated into the Oakland Energy and Climate Action Planning process.
Or informally.
Well, no, but there are motions being made in that direction thanks to your leadership, Al, and Kent's, and others who have been doing a great job in talking with Port Commissioner Martin Gordon, who is going to be shepherding a resolution on behalf of the coalition to make sure that process gets underway. So, yeah.
What about East Bay Mud? You mentioned water as being an issue. Are they involved in this in any way? Because they do supply the water for Oakland, right? At least that's where I came from.
Yeah.
They are not a member of the coalition yet.
No, but a lot of the recommendations for water do center around strategies that could be undertaken in collaboration with them. Sounds like you're really interested in these processes, and for those that are, again, just want to highlight the second Thursday of each month from 9:30 to 11:30 at the Workforce Collaborative, which is just around the corner at Webster. I think it's 1433 Webster, something like that. Energy input into this process is warmly appreciated and welcome.
Yes.
So, but we'll take more questions in a moment if we can just kind of go through the rest of this. There are key areas that the Local Clean Energy Alliance has been playing a role in, especially the building and energy use and the climate adaptation planning. Dave has been doing a great job in leading up some of the groups around the efforts around the climate adaptation planning. And all these groups right now are in the process of putting forward their top priority recommendations that the coalition will then put to the city as key policies that can be used to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, to stave off pollution, to create green jobs in our communities. So that's where we're at now. And the Local Clean Energy Alliance is particularly interested in the building and energy sector because that's 38% of our greenhouse gas emissions here in Oakland. And toward that end, we've been forwarding a couple of key policies. David mentioned early on that there's a really good momentum building around this idea of energy efficiency and solar financing for buildings so that folks, businesses, homeowners can afford these types of retrofits and these types of systems more readily by having the upfront costs paid for in advance and then paid back on their property tax bill. So that's something that we're looking to do as part of the City of Oakland's Climate Action Plan, but in a way that is very inclusive of renters. It's inclusive of low to moderate income earners, and it's also really designed to build up our workforce, because if we're talking about retrofitting thousands of buildings, which is really what it's going to take, right? We're going to need a lot more hands to do the work, and so that's what we're advocating for as this program gets underway. Which there are other aspects of it about it going regionally, so that it can be aggregated on a broader scale. But that's the key. That's one of the key policies we're forwarding. The other, as Dave mentioned earlier, is the labor and community-driven energy purchasing program, otherwise known as Community Choice Energy, to give cities and counties the control that they would need to really specify what kind of renewable energy mix they want to see and deliver to their residents and businesses. And so this is something that we think is critically important to be done in partnership with labor and business, so that all the stakeholders are at the table and are designing this system together, as opposed to just like having one special interest group getting a benefit from it, right? So those are the two key policies that we're forwarding as the Local Clean Energy Alliance, and I think Dave mentioned we're on the steering committee of the Oakland Climate Action Coalition, so we're in a unique position to influence the policies that are adopted and forwarded by the coalition. So at this point, I think it's appropriate to just kind of open it up, see if people have key questions about the coalition, about the Local Clean Energy Alliance's role, your interest in it, the process for the Oakland Climate Action Plan, and so forth.
Is there one more public workshop scheduled on the ECAP?
There will be several.
Okay.
And I don't know that we made it clear, but the first draft of the Oakland Energy and Climate Action Plan is likely to be released at the end of the first quarter of 2010. We don't know exactly when, but unless Public Works is forced by City Council's hand to produce something sooner, it's very likely that they'll do something in March of next year. And then there will be public workshops that will follow that.
Cindy, then Graham.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Greg.
Would now be a good time to talk about the process of getting the port involved?
Well,
Is that underway, or?
there's a group that's underway. There's a subcommittee. Dave, myself, Margaret Gordon, Kent, and Al, and Emily Pierce are on that committee. If you're interested, I would suggest. I mean, if there's something you want to say about it, please.
I'm just interested as to where is the process right now? What's the port? What are the port's thoughts about getting involved? What's
Right.
happened with it so far?
Well, they're doing a greenhouse gas emissions inventory that's partial.
Partial?
Yeah, it's only looking at the
Only
greenhouse gas
cranes?
emissions on the port site itself. They're not looking at the airport. They're not looking at offshore.
What
And
about
so,
the truck?
yeah, trucks. They're included.
Trucks too?
Yeah, they're included for the analysis that they're doing. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to get them to do a comprehensive inventory of their greenhouse gas emissions, so that we have that baseline to know. Margaret Gordon told us that she thinks that there's probably upwards of 4 to 5 times the amount of emissions coming out of a port as there is from the city of Oakland.